Fans have been speculating for years about who will win the Game of Thrones. Researchers at this university in Munich say artificial intelligence has the answer.
We think that Daenerys Targaryen, the mother of dragons, have the best chance of surviving the world of Game of Thrones. And according to our algorithm, we're 79% certain of that.
Whoever ends up on the fictional Iron Throne, the hit TV show has produced plenty of real-world winners. HBO has made more than $1 billion from the series, which premiered in 2011.
Game of Thrones is a great story. It has sex, it has violence, and it has money. And it has a lot of good-looking people. So how could it miss? I mean, there are a lot of good television shows, but this one in particular was larger than life.
The cast is getting its fair share of the spoils. Lead actors Kit Harington and Emilia Clarke made $500,000 each an episode in Season 7, a figure that reportedly went up 40% for Season 8.
The last season is the best season. It's just going to be the best. It's just incredible. You heard it here first. It's going to, blow your mind.
Fans are also eager to see the world of Westeros up close. Northern Ireland, where much of the show has been filmed, welcomes 120,000 tourists a year.
We estimate that about 1 in 6 people who come here to Northern Ireland come to visit Game of Thrones sets.
The money will continue to pour in long after the last episode airs. HBO plans to hold Game of Thrones studio tours starting next year, letting fans see King's Landing, Winterfell, and The Wall for themselves. There are also spin-offs in the works, which means it's not game over just yet. Paolo Montecillo, TRT World.
For more on this now, let's go to Ashwin Navin. He's the co-founder and CEO of Samba TV, which is a leading developer of applications of Smart TVs. He joins us now from San Francisco. Good to have you on the program, Ashwin. Firstly, full disclosure, I haven't jumped on the Game of Thrones bandwagon. I've never watched it, so you're getting a very unbiased view of the program here. But I wanted to ask, we have reports that there are around 1 billion people who tuned into the season finale. Does that sound about right to you?
That number sounds high. We think that the base of viewers for Game of Thrones, at least in the United States, is about 1/3 of the TV viewing base here in the United States. Roughly about 35 million people. We saw less than half of them last night when the Season 8 premiere came on air.
Interesting. Now, obviously, the popularity of Game of Thrones has come at a time when there were a lot of questions about whether scripted television was a thing of the past, if it could still be as lucrative or as commercially successful as we saw in the past. Do you think this example basically shows that scripted television is here to stay?
It doesn't tire. Doesn't stop.
Well, there's absolutely a role for high-quality scripted television. The storytelling here and production value is unparalleled, and we know that the numbers show a very loyal fan base. This is a company, HBO, that's taken a lot of measures to produce high-quality video in the past, and now with its new ownership in AT&T, we expect that to continue.
What sort of lesson do you think has Game of Thrones taught other television production companies about what to produce that will be successful?
Well, we know that in the case of HBO, this is a base of viewers that is very religiously devoted, and we get basically a new behavior around Game of Thrones that HBO hasn't been able to experience in the past. Around the 5th season is when HBO broke religion, and it basically said, we are now embracing the streaming video on-demand generation, and they announced HBO Now. And what we've seen is the audience for that show has actually grown substantially since then.
Now, tell us more generally, how has television viewing changed? We obviously know that there's the rise of streaming services like Netflix, but it seems like, as you say, there is still a role for traditional TV scripted dramas here. I mean, how can the two go hand in hand?
Well, I mean, the big events, like in the US, it's the Super Bowl. Worldwide, it's the World Cup or the Olympics. these are events that you'd like to consume live, to see it, to experience it in the moment. But there's a generation of viewing behavior that's been trained by whether it was downloading, through peer-to-peer networks or now through binge watching, through streaming video, that's basically consuming things on the schedule of the consumer rather than being forced to watch something live. We like to watch things on our own time, on our own devices, in our own space. And certainly HBO is now part of that with its own streaming service. But we have to look at basically the growth of Netflix worldwide and other streaming services that's basically trained a new generation on how to watch video. That's given basically a new lease on life to scripted television in general.
Now, I want to ask you about your former role as the head of BitTorrent, which, as we know, has been in the spotlight in recent years for allegations that it allows the illegal downloading of TV shows like Game of Thrones and other movies as well. I'm wondering, with the rise of more affordable options such as Netflix and other streaming services, do you think people are becoming less reliant on services like BitTorrent, that they are prepared to pay a relatively small subscription fee in order to get the TV shows and movies that they want to watch?
Oh, absolutely. The streaming service that's basically a subscription, all-you-can-eat plan, offers tremendous value to consumers. It offers tremendous convenience. And the numbers do the talking. A number of people who download illegally is on the decline. But we know that these streaming services were, in fact, inspired by how much was going on in the peer-to-peer community. Game of Thrones was, in fact, the most stolen show in the world.
It was, that's right.
Before the streaming service HBO.
And Ashwin Navin, I'm afraid, sorry to cut you off, but we will have to leave it there. But thank you again for joining us from San Francisco.